Yeah, one second. Namo Nama. Yeah. Good evening. Namo Nama. Happy to be amongst you all this evening. It has been a great learning experience all the while, listening to all the insightful lectures throughout the past 2 weeks. And before I start the presentation, I would request you all to close your eyes and picture the following. Picture this in your mind. You crave a moment of quiet serenity to start your day. You settle down to meditate, hoping to find some inner peace. But exhaustion clings to you like a second skin. Your eyes flutter, your breath slows, then you jolt awake. The blaring alarm clock screams at you. An hour has vanished. Panic rises in your throat. Meditation forgotten. You scramble to freshen up. The day's demands a whirlwind in your mind. The kids need a pep talk and a breakfast that fuels their exam cramming. All while you throw together the lunch boxes, a nervous tremor in your hands, a notification on your phone mocks you, a looming presentation or a high-stakes meeting with the superiors, while the kids miss their bus and waiting for them to be dropped at the school. Just when you think it can't get more chaotic, reality throws another curveball. The maid, a lifeline in this daily storm, is nowhere to be found. Dishes pile up, laundry overflows, and the already mountainous to-do list mocks you. To top it all off, surprise call saying guests are arriving that evening for an extended stay. Remember that special occasion you were meticulously planning a surprise party for a beloved family member. It becomes just another burden to juggle. Weeks blur together in this relentless dance. Exercise becomes a distant memory, replaced by late night scrambling to finish tasks, dinner running behind schedule, and sleep is the luxury you barely dare to dream of. Each morning, a battle, dragging yourself out of bed and face the never ending challenge that is your day. Fueling the situation are thoughts like, I'm going to mess this up for sure, or this is all my fault. I should have been better prepared. Relax, relax. Gently open your eyes. Yes. The topic I have chosen for today is stress and yogic approach to elevate stress. During my MA dissertation program, I happened to conduct an online survey with respect to digestive health in children and adults, which opened my eyes to the prevalence of stress. This motivated me to take and create plan something to elevate stress. So these were the results of which I got the 72 responses. 59 responded to this particular question, and these were the results then, wherein the stress was the main symptom out of all the symptoms which was being experienced. With respect to digestive health, this was the survey conducted, but the prevalent symptom was stress. So I was thinking of doing something in this line in the yogic way. So in the next coming few minutes, we'll be understanding what causes stress, what is the stressor, and how to overcome stress. We'll first see in brief the anatomy and physiology of stress, and then we'll see the yogic anatomy and physiology and ways to cope up with stress. Before that, just give a thought. Imagine a world with less stress. What would one aspect of our life look like? Right? So let's begin. Stress. Stress is usually a problem related to the present. It is there is a mismatch between the mental thought processes, the state of mind, and the environment around. So when such conflict arises in the mind, we call it as stress. There is the feeling of, it can be said that stress is a natural response to a challenging situation. It is either triggered by the external factors or the internal factors like the negative self-talk unrealistic expectation. Just imagine there is a rubber band. You're holding it with both the at both the edges and stretch it to some extent, right? To some extent, it is easily stretchable. Over a period, beyond the limit, you would feel the vibration in the rubber band as well as in your hands. So also, if a person is stretching beyond his limitations, that is when he experiences what we all say as stress, right? This six little word has been enough emphasized in the past presentations, almost all of the presentations we have seen, right? So this would be just like a recap of all those things in the next few minutes. So this is what is called as stress, which is not only felt by the person who is experiencing, but it also impacts the people around. So to understand stress, it can be broadly classified into two types, the e-stress and the distress, right? So for example, we'll take a situation of a child who is going for a admission into a university or a college, right? So he is preparing well for his exams. This NSET or this admission test and all. So during that moment, he might have to spend so many sleepless nights preserving. But if that situation is causing him stress to achieve something good, which is keeping him in a state of excitement, enthusiasm, that is the positive stress, e-stress. Little bit of that is really good for us to achieve our goals and tasks. But if the same situation is causing a person to feel demoralized, overwhelmed, or sad, that is called distress. If that distress continues to a certain period of time, continuously being expressed, then we might term it as chronic stress. So it is actually, we may understand this, that stress is something good if it is in a state which it is within our limits. But if it is beyond limits and it is continuously being experienced, that is what we are going to address as stress in the coming few minutes, right? So that is what we are concerned about. So chronic stress is something which is very devastating to the brain. Mainly the two regions of the brain that gets affected due to chronic stress, namely the prefrontal lobe of the brain and the hippocampus as shown in the picture. So during a chronic stress, what happens is the prefrontal part of the brain gets impacted, which is the region for us to aim for certain goals in life, decide, organize our schedules, and think what is right and what is wrong, and to have complete focus on the task in hand. And also it impacts the hippocampus, which is the core for the memory region and focus. So if these two things are getting affected, that is when we might call it as a chronic stress. It's also observed that chronic stress impairs the neural connections in the brain. Over a period of time, these neural connections shrink in the brain, and that is when a person feels low. So there are other than chronic in this chronic stress, there are one more thing we might call it as a post-traumatic stress of various types of stress. Post-traumatic stress. For example, there are quite a few situations, but in a situation wherein I would give an example of that. We were being in Nairobi in the year 2012, wherein that we were just new to that place and we were just 200 meters away from a place, a mall, west side, where terrorists have attacked the place. We could, I was there, I could hear the gunshots and all. But imagine the people inside the mall who have been trapped, the person's emotions, the feelings, and the amount of stress they would have felt. And if that person is not overcoming that feelings, and even after the situation has passed and he has survived that situation, if it is bothering him even after 6 months, exactly the same way he has experienced then, that is called post-traumatic stress. And there are various other kind of stress like if any trauma or health issues, constant body under some or the other diseases might cause people stress, or prenatal stress, or these are some of the various types of stress that are prevalent. But mainly we are concentrating on the chronic stress or distress. And so To understand stress, we might understand through 3 points: stressor, sensory impulses, and the functioning of these hormones and how to overcome stress. What are stressors? To know what is causing stress is of vital importance. So first we have to understand what is causing the stress. The stressors could be anything related to work pressure, right? If there is a person changing from one company to another, that could be a stressor because he has to set up to this new environment, or even changing from one house to another. It's quite tedious, right? Everything has to be settled, the school, the work, the bill, gas connection, everything. Like we can understand these things. So these life changes or some financial crisis, relationship issues, health concerns, like we have said earlier, these all are could be some of the stressors. It varies from person to person. Then the sensor impulses. So if we take a pin and poke our skin, we would immediately feel the impulses. How does the brain know, right? It's quick, the impulses are carried to it. But in stress, it is even more quicker. So what happens during a stress? When a stressor, any stressor has been faced by the person, the impulses are quite quick and it activates the the following systems of the brain. What happens when an impulse of stress comes? The brain receives the same impulses and the hypothalamus releases the corticotropic hormone. This corticotropic hormone in turn suggests the pituitary gland, which releases hormones for various organs, release the adrenocorticotropic hormone, suggesting the adrenal gland to release cortisol. So this is a natural process in any fight or flight situation for our body. This is required. Like for an example, a day merges into night. Summer merges into winter. So also parasympathetic and the sympathetic both come into action at some moment of the other. But the problem is if it is continuous, that sympathetic nervous system which has been activated continues for a prolonged period of time is a problem. So when this cortisol is released into the blood, it is which is responsible for regulating the metabolism, immune system, and blood pressure, is essential functions of the body. But during stress, this cortisol slows the function of the non-essential or harmful during a flight or flight situation because the energy is concentrated in the protecting the body. The body constantly strives to protect us. So it takes the energy from the rest and digestive systems like this, because the flight and flight situation is in action. So rest and digest system is halted. So the digestion, the reproductive system, and the growth process are stopped. So this complex natural alarm system communicates with the brain regions, which is also the center for mood and motivation, which gets affected. So a little bit of these hormones are required, but that is harmful if the chronic stress continues to persist, which gives a negative impact on our mental and health. So now that the sympathetic nervous system has been activated, let's understand what are the physiological things happening in the body. So during a stress hormone, we have seen that there was a stressor that has sent the impulses to the brain. The brain has released the hormones. Now, what does these hormones released in the bloodstream does? These hormones increase the heart rate to give energy for the person to prepare for action, the flight or flight action, that thereby increasing the flow of blood towards the muscles, the vital organs. Secondly, there is mental tension because you need to take action. The muscles tense, but the problem is that tensed muscles continue to stay tense, cause muscle tension and discomfort more so in the neck and shoulders. Secondly, because of pumping of blood constantly, the respiration changes. Because of the energy being taken away from the digestion system, digestion is suppressed and the immunity function as well. So, and is this the center of emotions and fear and memory, right? So the sleep gets disturbed, mood change is observed, and there is a chronic risk. Also, whenever a person has slightly any health issue or a weaker system in his body, any disease as such, and even in stress, that particular system gets affected is what is observed, right? So we might get problems related to that particular system, which is already prevalent in their body, which is a weaker as such. So understanding stress and the stressors would help us to take actions in rest. Like Eckhart Tolle said, stress is caused by being here but wanting to be there. So you have harmony. The harmony between the body and the mind through yogic way. Let's understand. So we have seen the anatomy and physiology of stress. Let's understand the yogic anatomy. To understand, we are seeing we know this Chaturvyuha of Yoga Darshan, right? Heya Hetu Hana Hanopaya. If we want to understand stress in the yogic terminology, I mean, we can say that Heya is the suffering, right? So here the suffering is stress. In stress, the mind is agitated, disturbed. So the state of mind can be related to Kshipta, which is Rajogun Pradhan. So the Hey Hetu, what is the stressor causing? We know avidya is the root cause of all the kleshas, of which if we may consider asmita, here the internal negative talk, which is related to the mind, right? So the self-talk, the negative self-talk could be one of the reasons that is causing stress in the yogic terminology. So Hana, what is the one we are aiming for? Peaceful state of mind, right? So what is the Hanopaya? There are many ways which Patanjali has given us, of which we would be start. For beginners is the Ashtanga Yoga. He has even prescribed the practice of Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana and Kriya Yoga as well, and Abhyas and Vairag, which are the higher level of practices. But to understand, like a person in a stressful state, it would be difficult to right away start with Abhyas and Vairag. So let's understand through first Ashtanga Yoga. So in Ashtanga Yoga, there are 8 limbs of yoga, right? But we will start first understanding through asana practice, which, for example, you can take any asana of your choice, or the example I've been shown here, Shashankasana. While you prepare yourself for the asana, for example, you have taken your posture of Vajrasana, and as you inhale, you raise your arms up, right? So as you inhale, you raise your arms up. You observe the stretch of your rib cage and towards stretch it straightly, elbows to the ears, towards the side of the ear. So when you bring this awareness over your body, you have to be in the present moment, right? And next, you will be observing the incoming and the outgoing breath. As you as you breathe in, observe the breath, and as you exhale, observe. There is a experience of this awareness of the breath. Then, as you bend forward and exhale down, pranayama, as well you're doing this pranayama practice, right? You're exhaling and going down. As you go down, observe the flow of blood towards the crown region. Observe as you bend forward, the movement from the waist, you're bending forward, the spine erect. See every movement of your body one after the other with full awareness. So after you go down, you slowly stay in the posture, you observe the calming down of the breath, right? So with this observance of the breath, if you are able to, if in any asana, if it requires for you to look at the particular, like in this Virabhadrasana, we focus at the fingertip, right? So you are focusing at a particular point. Otherwise, in this Sashankasana, you might even close your eyes. So you are either dharana, but pointing at a particular point in that particular asana, or in this asana like Sashankasana, if you're closing your eyes, you're tuning in within. So pratyahara is happening here, right? So you observe the internal sensations and the breath within the flow of the blood. Internally, what is happening? Pratyahara. And if you are able to stay in that posture for a prolonged period of time, definitely you would experience a dharana happening on the breath and slowly towards dhyana. So even one single asana has the impact of all the ashtanga if done with full awareness. Finally, during my earlier stage when I was learning yoga, ma'am used to ask me like, I some from nowhere a thought arises. If you would have, you can correlate if you also experience the same. So, or some people yawn continuously, or some people used to, even when I used to take classes, some, ma'am, I feel a little itching here and there, now and then, now I'm feeling yawning. So my ma'am said that it could be that the cleaning is happening at the internal level, and that is bringing out this thought which is going away from your body. So you're really, so even south happens at a subtler level by practicing with full awareness, just one asana. Whatever we are practicing, yoga has that potential for us to cleanse from within. Coming to practices like Swadhyaya or Ishvara Pranidhan, we may say that Ishvara, we have seen in detail, very beautifully explained by our beloved friend about the Bhakti Yoga. So Ishvara Pranidhan, like a child completely trusts her mother or father. So also we, with full devotion, surrender our whatever present problems at thy lotus feet, we can stay rest assured that at least we will stay at peace of mind. And then when we proceed to our task, we will have that courage, focus, and we will definitely deliver it best. So Ishwar Pranidhan is one way, as suggested by Sage Patanjali, would give us a present state of mind. And Abhyas Vairag, higher level of practices, it is said that how do we know we are progressing in our sadhana, right? So if there is any situation that is causing us disturbance or agitation, like the person we have seen in the beginning of the session, so if we are able to get back to state of equilibrium quickly, or how much time are we taking to get back to that state of present moment, decides whether our sadhana is going ahead or we are still need to work on ourselves. So this helped me to analyze myself more. So just wanted to share that. So now understanding the overview of what this stress is about in a yogic terminology, let's understand what's happening internally. In Taittiriya Upanishad, it's explained the 5 levels of our existence, namely the Panchakosha theory. So starting from Annamaya, the elemental body, which is made up of the 5 main elements. Next comes the Pranamaya Kosha, the energy body, which comprises of the chakras, nadi, prana, upaprana, and the Manomaya Kosha, the emotional body, wherein one experiences are given to the oneself, and these experiences in turn send impulse to the Vijnanamaya Kosha for the release of which impacts the functioning of this Vijnanamaya Kosha. And finally, the executive, the causal body, wherein the genetic imprints are stored, the vasanas are imprints are read. So this is the Anandamaya Kosha. Now we'll be concentrating. The healing can happen either from Annamaya towards Anandamaya or from Anandamaya towards Annamaya. But depending upon, for example, in this situation of stress, the person to start higher level of practice like Abhyas and Vairag would be a bit difficult, right? So we can understand, we will be going from grosser towards subtle than subtle towards, in any ailment wherein the person's state of mind is good, but he is physically having some problem, maybe we can come from Anandamaya Kosha to Annamaya Kosha. But here we will be, it would be ideal if we go from grosser towards subtle. So how do we bring about this harmony between the psycho and the soma, psychosomatic harmony? Because breath being the connection between the, I'm sorry, this pranamaya kosha is the bridge between the annamaya and the manomaya, and it is quite difficult to directly access the subtle body, even the subtler more than the pranamaya, and breath is something we have direct access. So we will try to control the breath and thereby bring about the harmony in the mind and as well in the body. So in this, there was a research conducted And in that, I would mainly emphasize the results of the research. Based on this Taittiriya Upanishad, the levels of existence, they have conducted research, and the research results have proved that the uncontrolled rumination or the stress is the major cause of various psychosomatic ailments. And the mind management is more essential than fighting the external forces. And this persuasive cognition is something what does it mean? Like, it is a person, like we are in the example you have seen, if a person has undergone any traumatic situation, or if he is constantly thinking about something which is not yet happened, or something in the future, or that of the events of the past, if that is bothering and is creating stress in the present moment, that is called persuasive cognition. So it has found that this mind management is more essential than fighting the external causes. So how do we, and also another study has shown that, and the impact of a thought, attachment towards a thought, like Bhagavan Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita has said that dhyayato vishyan pumsaha sangaste shupajayate sangat samjayate kamaha kamat krodho bhijayate krodat bhavati sammohaha sammohat shruti vibhramaha shruti bhramsat buddhinashaha buddhinashat pranashyati. That is dhyayato vishyan pumsaha. If a person is attached to a particular thought, like for example, in the, we'll go back to the same example. If the person wants to achieve some goals, and there are so many mundane tasks waiting for that person, that individual to be attended, she wants to do all those things efficiently, but that constant thought she is not able to do, but she wants to do, brings about uh, dhyayato vishantamsa sangaste shupajayate, that desire and attachment towards that thought. If it is fulfilled, she will be happy. That person will be happy. If it is not being fulfilled, it might cause some emotions in the body. If it is happy, it's fine. If it is not fulfilled, it might lead towards anger. Krodha bhavati sammoha, sammoha shmuti vibhramaha. So when these emotions arise, the person leads, the impulses sent by the Vijnanamaya kosha might not be perceived correctly. So it might lost in that situation of sammoha, it might not guide, it will not be guided properly by the buddhi, and due to the lack of control over impulses, one loses lack of awareness and discrimination. So the hippocampus, I have seen, that gets affected, prefrontal cortex. So during this stress, the manomaya kosha is afflicted because of the emotions, and the body follows the disturbances completely. And we know that when the mind is disturbed, agitated, the emotions that disturb the prana as well. If there is free flow of prana anywhere, disease cannot be there. Health is bound to be, but disease arises when there is any obstruction in the flow of prana. So when this prana gets disturbed, it's when the downfall of the person in that, as per that particular shloka, or in this stress and stress related, the imbalance of the prana crosses stress reaction triggered by the brain, spreads all over the body, causing disease. So what is the way out? Let's understand along with respect to the Panchakosha. So the Hanopaya that we are going to discuss is we come with respect to each kosha. So Annamaya kosha, diet, and asanas are mainly, I've chosen these two parts. Diet. So we have beautifully understood the concept of Prakriti, what are the body types and all. So as per Ayurveda. So knowing one's constituent will definitely help us to choose the proper diet. And based on that, along with that, because the Kshipta state of mind is Rajogun Pradhan, we want to bring it to a calmful state of mind, the Sattvagun Pradhan. So for that, we will choose the food that are suitable for us and that are sattvic in nature. And the respective asana required means to achieve certain goals and tasks. But if it is that stress leading to chronic is what we need to attain. So what asanas we can do, asanas to, if there is constant flow of the hormones in the body, that is which is causing in the imbalance. So you need to use that hormone, the energy given by the body. through practicing asanas would definitely help you to utilize the extra hormones in the body and keep yourself active. So yoga and asanas also bring about a balance in the digestive health. Yoga, we know that the muscles of the digestive health are smooth muscles. They get easily affected by the emotions and all. So practicing yoga, calming down the mind will bring back the harmony in the body. Next, we'll understand about the Annamaya, Pranamaya Kosha. The Pranamaya Kosha, the energy body, the energy which is responsible for various functions within the body. Even we are seeing through the eyes, it is only the organs that eyes are, but the energy behind that eyes we are through which we are perceiving is the energy which we are gaining through the pranic body. So how do we bring about the balance in the pranamaya? Because the sympathetic nervous system is in action, we want to bring back the harmony and we want to balance the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, for which Anulom Vilom is best. I didn't mention Nadi Shodhan because people might have various ailments like Kumbhak may not be prescribed. So just normal Anulom Vilom practice without Kumbhak it would be helpful. And Brahmari, a soothing practice, pranayama, and various other practices can be done under guidance. Mudra, Prana Mudra and Jnana Mudra specifically chosen. Jnana Mudra, when the this finger touch, it balances the vital air in the body and enables one to concentrate better. So these are the main mudras have chosen for the. When pranayama, one continues pranayama for a particular period of time, even in Hatha Yoga Pradipika or all the yogic texts, we are seeing that. And even Sage Patanjali says, Dharana Yogyata Manasaha. The mind is become stable and is now suitable for dharana. So practicing pranayama along with asanas and the diet would definitely bring about the required changes in the body to bring about the balance. And mainly pranayama, because we have seen that the prefrontal cortex of the brain is impaired and the limbic, where the flight or the primitive brain is come into action, which does not help a person to think. But pranayama brings us to the present. It activates this prefrontal cortex of the brain, and a person is now enabled to respond rather than react, which is what we are aiming for. Finally, this manomaya kosha, the emotional body, right? So the instability of the manomaya kosha is caused due to the deviation from the right path and leading to sorrow. So how do we bring about, like the bhakti yoga, we have seen the mantra chanting, mantra japa or om chanting, all this mantra ucharana does bring about balance in the manomaya kosha, because the mind is focused, the sense organs are focused on the object of this chanting, right? So this definitely helps about manana trayate mantraha, that helps one to come out. Then this manomaya kosha based upon the emotions experienced, the vijnanamaya kosha sends the impulses, right? So this once being balanced, the vijnanamaya kosha, which plays role in this hormones, enzyme secretion and all, because that release, that impulses suggest the release of these hormones and enzymes, which are released directly into the pranamaya kosha at the energy vortex, at the chakras. If we observe that all the endocrine glands are just placed at each of the chakras, right? So also practicing dhyana, yoga nidra, suggesting positive suggestions through yoga nidra would definitely help a person in stress to calm down and become positive, right? So this brings about the balance at the inner levels. And Anandamaya Kosha. We can practice dhyana once slowly over practicing over a period of time. Once if we practice dhyana on the Mooladhara dhyana or a Vishuddhi, because of the imbalance, the metabolism is disturbed, the digestion is impaired, or the thought process is not disturbed, is disturbed. So by dhyana on the Mooladhara or Vishuddhi, Agnya Chakra would definitely help one to bring about this balance. So this is the same, just a basic idea of the therapeutic way of addressing stress. And the diet, like I said, these are the sattvic diets one should choose and avoid the rajasic and the tamasic. over a period of time, practicing these practices, one definitely would reach a state of mind from Kshipta to Vikshipta and slowly Ekagra, right? So let's aim for that. And this is the significance of embracing the yogic lifestyle. Like we have seen in various, with respect to Taittiriya Upanishad, with respect to various levels of existence, we have seen how yoga helps us to overcome a chronic stressful situation. So yoga has the ability to reduce stress by bringing about the body's relaxation response, and bringing about this normalcy of the psycho-neuro-immuno-endocrine axis. That is the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. And this practicing yoga along with the balanced diet helps to counteract the free radicals and nourish the body, because the digestion is bring back to normal situation. The nutrients are well absorbed and the body feels good. And integrating the body movement along with the breath brings about the psychosomatic harmony. So I quote, when the mind is quiet, the intellect becomes sharper, the emotions become positive and lighter, and our behavior becomes much more palatable. Psychosomatic disorders like stress, anxiety can be treated through yogic regime. And it's like Nishkam, means do not wait for the results, but just doing our best would give a sense of peace and ease within. Also, by practicing with this kind of thought process of not that keeping the only being result oriented, we will be able to focus better on the task in hand, and thereby, if we are completely focused on particular task, we are bound to get results as per our strength and stamina, right? So the positive transformation, strength, wisdom is definitely possible through yoga abhyas. Heyam dukkham anagatam, like Sage Patanjali says. So when we are practicing all these practices diligently day in and day out, in any situation, we will be able to withstand with confidence and strength and enthusiasm, and we will thereby avoid all this chronic stress or the situations like blood pressure or diabetes or lifestyle disorders. Heyam dukkham anagatam. So this is all about yogic anatomy and physiology of stress and solutions through yogic way. And these are the certain research articles which relate to stress. And finally, man eva manushyanam karanam bandhamokshaya bandhaya vishayasaktam muktir nirvishyam smritam. As the mind, so the man. Bondage or liberation are in our own mind. I would request you all just 2 minutes, let's chant Omkar. If you can take Jnana Mudra and close your eyes. And before chanting, I would just brief in the procedure, like which you would all be knowing, but just like in case, we will be chanting Akar, Ukar, and Makar. With respect to the time, I will just do it each one once, okay? So while we are chanting Akar, we'll keep our awareness at the navel region. While we're chanting Ukar, we'll keep our awareness at the chest region. And while chanting Makar, we'll keep our awareness about the throat region. The thing we are going to do is, in the first round, we will be chanting it aloud. In the second round, we will be chanting it a bit low. And the final round, we will be chanting it internally. But throughout the process, you observe the vibrations in the body, and the similar vibrations we'll be able to feel even if we are chanting it low or internally. So let's focus on the sensations within the body as we chant. Okay? Yeah. The spine erect, hands in Jnana Mudra, eyes closed. Take a deep breath in. Omkar, eyebrow center awareness. Second round, slightly lower volume, but with awareness of the respective regions. Akar. Internally, Akar. Deep breathe in. Internally, Ukar. Deep breath in. Makar. Inhale, Omkar, internally. Relax. Gently rub your eyes and open your relax. And if I am allowed, I would like to know, because having this opportunity and so many